Well, hey, Redemption. I thought I would just take a moment to share with you my gospel-centered testimony. So I count myself incredibly fortunate to have grown up with parents who believe in Jesus. And from an early age, I believed that Jesus loved me and that I would go to heaven if I believed in him. And my belief in Jesus even continued through those awkward and challenging years of middle and high school. Yet my time and energy was usually more focused on academics, social life, activities, rather than pursuing a deeper understanding of my faith. And to be honest, I wasn't really aware of what more I could do to grow deeper. I just strived to do my best to be kind to others and do what I thought was right. But it was during college that my faith radically changed. During the spring of my sophomore year, I had a group of Christian friends who invited me to join them for spring break in Panama City, a week-long event hosted by Campus Crusade for Christ, now called Cru, which sounded great to me. I mean, after all, I was a Christian, so that didn't seem too intimidating. But just days before we left, something was mentioned about when we talked to people on the beach about Jesus. I was like, wait, what? I thought this was a beach trip to hang out, but this is sounding more and more like a mission trip. Well, I was assured multiple times that I didn't have to participate in anything I wasn't comfortable doing, but I was also half curious how this would go, so I tagged along with a Cru staff member each day. As we talked to people on the beach, strangers, we first asked them if they would be willing to do a survey that asked them basic questions about how they defined absolute truth, and that led to more questions about wanting to know if they had any interest in knowing about a personal relationship with God. And shockingly, people talked with us. I mean, some of these conversations lasted hours. These moments talking with people who didn't know Jesus was life-changing for me. Hearing what others had to say, comparing that to what I believe, it radically changed my perspective on life. Although growing up I believed in Jesus, I had just never heard it described in terms of a relationship. That week I learned that God loved me and he had a plan for my life, that God wanted me to know him intimately and personally, that he was indeed active and engaged in my life. That week renewed what I believed. Jesus had come to earth as a man to live a perfect and pleasing life to God, that he died for my sins, both my active and passive rebellion against God, so that I might be forgiven, and that in his resurrection, he conquered death so that I could live forever with him. What I found life-changing is how actively engaged God is in our lives, and that he desires for everyone, including you, to know him in an intimate, personal way. If that was something you desired, to know God personally, you can tell him that right now. In the Bible it says, if you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Does that express the desire of your heart? That beach trip was 20 plus years ago, yet it remains one of the most significant milestones in my life because I dedicated my life to following Jesus, and that has changed everything. That's not to say there aren't times when it's hard to understand God's plan for my life, yet I see evidence that my faith in God looks more and more like a true relationship every day. As I continue to trust him, I see that he remains faithful to his promises, which then causes me to trust him more, which then strengthens my faith. So 3 minutes isn't enough to tell you all the ways I've seen God at work in my life. So hopefully that can be our next conversation.